Okay, this is going to be a sort of review video of Resident Evil Revelations, but I do want to give a heads up at first, just to make sure. There are going to be spoilers for this, so if you do actually want to play this game for yourself, I would recommend it. The 3DS version is pretty good. That was the one that I played for this. There's also other versions. There's the Xbox 360, PS3. There's like the most recent version is the Nintendo Switch port. So just check out all of them. If I'm being honest, find your footing, because like this game is a good one. Like, I do recommend it, and like for a 3DS game, it is a solid ass time. So I'd absolutely say that like you should go try it out for yourself. If like you're a fan of Resident Evil or just a general fan of horror games or survival horror, like this is definitely one of those games you should pick up, because it's, at least from what I've experienced, it's pretty decent. I will also mention I'm quite terrified of these games, so if I do sound a bit like this is, I guess, the main reason why I'm not doing like a full scale review of it, because like I just generally do not like horror games. Anyways, that's all. Let's begin the actual episode, shall we?
You ready? I ain't gon' let it get to me. I'm just gon' creep down in Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my lost speed. I know that it's here. I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere.
I think I have everything prepared here. I have a bunch of snacks, so I'm gonna be just generally going through this. I guess in one take, but then again, that's usually what I do for the podcast anyways, so it's not too much of like a deal breaker. I only edit my podcast if I know there's gonna be like a few long pauses here and there that like just are empty space. But generally I try my best to like edit everything in a decent way. But anyways, welcome to the Clopdrawer Podcast. It's another episode. It's another good time. I'm probably not gonna, this video is probably not gonna see the light of day until like the 31st, because I want to save this for like Halloween. So if I've managed to keep to my word and like I've uploaded this on Halloween, good on that. Like, happy Halloween to everyone. I hope y'all are like getting as much candy as possible. I hope y'all are going to a bunch of different haunted houses, not like real haunted houses, the type because like don't I don't think it's very smart to go into an actual like haunted house, like especially by yourself. Do not go alone. That's like one of the things you should never do on Halloween. Like, you gotta always have your friends by your side and always have like people who are around, because it's like you can't just like go out on your own. It's not safe. Like, genuinely, like, not even on Halloween or like just generally in nighttime, you should always be like cautious, I guess. But yeah, I would say that I am very interested and I guess excited, because today I'm going to be talking about Resident Evil Revelations. And when it comes to like a game such as Resident Evil, I'd say this is actually my first Resident Evil game I've ever played. I know who the characters are. I know like the general story of Resident Evil. So I wouldn't say that this is necessarily my first like step into the series. I've seen plenty of stuff that like has the characters. I've mostly watched playthroughs of Resident Evil games, so it's like, I've never really like done anything like that. But I think the only games I haven't really like gotten into were the Revelations games, because I never like really gave, because I've gone through the main series. I've gone through the first Resident Evil, well, kind of, not like too much. I've watched like playthroughs of the first game, then there was the second game, like the remake, then there was third game, also the remake, then there was Resident Evil 4, then there was 5 and 6, which by the way are probably like just by automatic association one of my like favorite Resident Evil games. Look, I know like the gameplay is probably like not that great, but I think just like the general cutscenes and the way everything links together, it's it's ridiculous and insane enough for me to like be enjoying every single moment of it, because it feels way too over the top. And Revelations definitely has a little bit of that energy. It's not like it's not like too severe. It's more like just circumstance in some way, because it's like the way characters talk and the way like everything kind of fits. It all kind of feels a little bit like it is very much like Revelations. It very much feels like that energy of 5 and 6. And the thing is that like the hang on, let me go. Yeah, though it takes place like between Resident Evil like 4 and 5. So it's pretty insane that like it's somewhere in like it's somewhere like near those types of games, because it's like, okay. Like, I guess it kind of has that same energy. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, it basically takes place between like the events of like Leon's like exploration of the village and like before the Africa expedition with Chris Redfield. So yeah, they even like even the game kind of leaves it off like it does. The ending of the game basically like has it leaving off where it's like it shows off Chris and Jill's next location, like where they're heading to next, and it's clearly a mansion, obviously, not like the first game. So it's like basically they're gonna confront Wesker, is what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to get in. I did give a warning beforehand that there were gonna be spoilers, and I'm not holding back on that. So yeah, it's something else, and I'll say this one. I don't wanna like also. I think I might also end up getting into like Resident Evil 5 and 6, at least from what I can remember as of the game, because that game also has its own fair share of insanity. But that's something I'm going to tackle another time. So the version that I played, there's a couple of different versions of the game. There's one for like PS3, there's one for Xbox 360, there's also for the PS4 and Xbox One. But the one that I played was the 3DS version, because I was interested, because like it's a Resident Evil game on a 3DS, and I first tried playing Resident Evil The Mercenaries, which I guess was meant to be like a Resident Evil 5 kind of game, but like honestly I don't really like it that much. It genuinely just does not like do it for me. I think it's quite weird and strange. I don't really enjoy it that much. I think it's more or less just a missions type game. Like it's not really anything. Plus, it seems more multiplayer oriented, so it's not really my cup of tea. But when I played Revelations, like it was a lot better. I will say this, and I'll preface this as much. I don't like horror games. Whenever I say like I hate horror games, like I'm not saying like if I say I hate a game like a horror game like Resident Evil, I'm not saying that I hate it because it's bad. I'm saying it because I hate it because it's scary. That's like the thing about it, because like this game, I fucking hate all the monsters and everything, the way you're exploring all that. Like it's so terrifying to me, and the fact that you can convey that on a 3DS of all things, that is impressive in it of itself. And I cannot like believe how much like the way they were able to pull that off on such a small console like this, because it's like, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing, like generally. And like I think it's the reason why I also really like this game a lot more, because it's like they pulled this off on a 3DS, a console that like has minimal graphics, but is also able to like give off some really good gameplay. And generally it definitely feels like a Resident Evil game. Like you're exploring around everything, you're going to different room to room, you are essentially like gathering items and such. There's also this like scanner thing that you have, which like you're supposed to scan around, like I guess for like different like handprints and such, and also like info and everything. it generally the way it goes for me when I'm playing this game, it's literally just like and like I'll just be scanning all the enemies because like if you scan enough enemies you end up getting like a 100 percentage type thing, and then you're rewarded with like a healing item. So like I'll usually go from like room to room scanning enemies, and I'll be like, okay, I don't need to fight them, I'll just head off into the next room. So it's like you can really, I think that's the general thing with Resident Evil. Like not I think there's a lot of games that are essentially just like you will have to fight your way through a lot of enemies, but like for this one you're basically like, it's basically a matter of like you scan enemies and then you just move on to the next room or something, and then like you gather other more items. You will probably, I'm not saying you won't end up having to fight enemies. There are definitely going to be moments where you're going to have to fight a lot of enemies, so it's like you gotta keep your guard up as well. So you can't always avoid every enemy encounter because there's gonna be a lot of required fights as well. So just keep that in mind while you're playing this. But yeah, I'd say I enjoy Resident. I say I enjoyed this game. Like a gameplay standpoint, I guess like generally the gameplay is like really good. I do like how like you do explore around the ship, you get a good bearing of everything, and like you eventually get to a point where it's like, oh, I've explored everything, and like now I can actually just enjoy the game as a whole. Like, because it's like I'm not a big fan of the backtracking. Not being like it's not like too much out of your way, but like it's a little bit like it's mainly just because like enemy encounters are just like terrifying in and of itself. This game is like a bit scary in its own right. But I do still think it's a very solid game overall. I definitely recommend it overall with everything and anything. So yeah, I would say play the higher res versions, but I also recommend the 3DS version because it's like that one's something that like you can genuinely enjoy and appreciate more because it's like it's a 3DS game. Like, how did they do that? How did they manage to make a game terrifying on a 3DS? You can't really do that. Like that takes a lot of work and effort. That's very hard to do. So, I give appreciation and kudos to the developers for even being able to pull that off. Yeah, I think it's the same development team that like made the Mercenaries. Because like you can tell by the way the controls are and everything, it's very similar to the Mercenaries game on 3DS. Which is cool. Like if people have played that game, then like they'll get a good idea of like what to do, how to control everything, like how to navigate and such. Like that's a good thing to do, and also it's like a generally decent control scheme, at least from what I can tell. But yeah, I'm not biggest fan of these games. I'm not. Once again, like I'm not a fan of like horror games in general. I hate the tenseness. I hate the way it's the way enemies like will be at the corner side and you end up getting like jumped by one of them. I also hate the designs and everything. But that's mainly because it's scary, not like because these designs are good. It's just that like I am not someone who likes scary games in general. Like that's just me being me. But yeah. I'd say the one thing that like I guess made me continue through with this game was the story, because the story is actually decent. Like it's not anything special to write home about. It's not really anything to be like too like it's nothing too special. It's basically the story revolves around like these two the characters of Jill Valentine and Parker. What was his name? God, he's my favorite character in this game, and the thing is that I can't even like remember his last name. Yeah, Parker Luciani. Actually, no, I don't even think they mentioned it in the game. Because we know Jill Valentine and we know Chris Redfield, but we don't like. I don't think we get like the some of the last names for these guys. Interesting. But yeah, I do really enjoy the overall uh the general like thing of the game is that Jill and Parker, basically Chris Redfield has gone missing, and so is like Jessica, which is another character that we will learn later on. Basically, they went missing over the coast a while back, and supposedly it has something to do with this company, or wait, no, this terrorist organization that's called like Veltro. And it's like Veltro is essentially like just a bioterrorist organization. They destroyed an entire city known as Terra Grigia, and essentially they sent an entire outbreak, and the city was destroyed via like heat wave satellites that was like shot out by the FBC, which is another company that's like it's like the BSAA, but it's essentially more it's I guess it's more like government oriented, but also like there's a lot more like under the surface that than it just being like this simple organization, I guess. Or I guess it's rather like the leader of it has a lot more ill intentions than we initially realize. But yeah, yeah. Basically it describes like uh, I'll actually just read off the wiki just to like give myself a bit of an easier time. Jill and Parker make their way into the Mediterranean Sea, acting on Chris' last known coordinates. They find themselves taking a tugboat to seemingly abandoned cruise ship known as the Queen Zenobia. On board, they encounter horrific mutants known as ooze, victims of the T-Abyss virus, and are unable to locate Chris or Jessica. Instead, they find a dummy of Chris and are knocked unconscious by a Veltro agent, stripped of their weapons and separated. Now, granted, it's interesting that, like, with what we know later on and, like, whatever, like, info we get about all of this, it's kind of interesting how the way that all plays out, because it's like, the whole, like, okay, so the thing is that, like, Chris essentially got lost out at sea. They find him that he's locked in a cell, but, like, it's actually a trap, so all that. And I guess it's a whole misleading type thing. They do end up like they like Chris. We do eventually find out what happened to Chris. He's not even on the ship. He is entirely somewhere else and at like a military base instead, where he's trying to find out like what Veltro's up to and what's going on. And eventually, like he gets radio call from like who is it? Oh yeah, O'Brien, Clive R. O'Brien, who's like I guess the main director. No, the head of the BSAA. Yeah, he's basically their boss. So so once they end up getting like the contact and all that, it's like it turns out that like there was a mislead and that Veltro was using this as a trap to like completely trick out the BSAA. So now, like, it's found out that like Jill and Parker, they're pretty much just trapped in their own rooms. They end up like managing to get out and finding each other, and they eventually get their weapons back and fight against the ooze in this game. Now the thing is about the ooze is that it's generally one of the these are creepy ass things, because like there's different viruses from what I can understand, because this is let me actually bring up, because there must be like a list of like viruses for the series just to like, because there's a ton of different ones that are like used. Oh my god, there's so many. The fucking Tyrant virus, Progenitia virus, T-Abyss, Chrysalid, Ouroboros, Almighty virus, and the E strain. There was another. What was it? There was another one that was like the C virus. I guess it's like the labeled as a different one. Sorry, I went quiet for a sec. I just saw that there's something. The lists of the only one that's ranked in E is called the Ebola virus. Oh, okay. It's an okay, like it is a this is the real life because like this is an actual virus that happened. The Ebola virus was discovered in Africa in 1976, highly infectious with a mortality rate of 90%. 90%. It spawned international concern over possibility of a deadly pandemic. Umbrella Pharmaceuticals was granted permission by the US government to take a sample of the virus to the Arclay Laboratory for vaccine research in 1978, with the research overseen by Dr. William Birkin and Dr. Albert Wesker. Of course, it's fucking Wesker. Why? Who else would it be? Who the else would it be? Fascinated with the virus potency, they extracted enormous separates. Oh my god. Vegetables. Strain impregnated virus present in the lab, then this new virus product. Oh my fucking god, Jesus. So they took a virus from like 1976 and essentially turned it into an actual super weapon. God. Oh my Jesus Christ. Umbrella is such a weird ass thing because it's like, what is up with this company exactly? What exactly? It's even a subsidiary of of the Umbrella Corp, which was something that was in Raccoon City in the first place. Oh my god, it is so weird. Yeah, it's strange. There's also like another umbrella that's like Blue Umbrella, which is the Umbrella Corporation is an American private military company founded in 2007. It was formed out of the American division of Umbrella Corporation. Uh, God, it's give the blue hue a nickname Blue Umbrella, separating from the red-hued Red Umbrella. Blue Umbrella is not related to Neo Umbrella, but it's... So, wait, hang on. Is it like... Okay, I'm confused, because it's like... Is this like good umbrella? Or is it just like a bad umbrella? I don't get it. Okay. Oh my god. Oh. Ah, okay. So Neo Umbrella is like... Okay, Neo Umbrella is just like... It's basically Umbrella, but it's like destruction. That's... what it is. Ah, okay. Yeah. Okay. It's basically... I think what... Okay, it's generally just like Umbrella, but it's like... It's like an Umbrella Corp that's like not psychotic or anything like that. It's... At least from what I can understand. Although not being directly related to Vintage, in February 21, Umbrella Corporation supplied Hound Wolf Squad with equipment such as a med injector? What? That's Hound Wolf Squad. Oh, okay. Jesus, there is so much. There are so many divisions. Can't we just have like one general division of everything? Like why is there so many of this? It's an elite BSAA task force. Okay, so it's straight up just like one unit. Oh my god, so many stuff. This series is so weird. Okay. But yeah, I guess generally, what is it? Fuck, I completely forgot what I was talking about. I completely, like, mistrailed for a while. Oh, right, I was, like, going through the list of, like, viruses that came over across Ebola. Jesus Christ. Okay, alright, that's something for Resident Evil 5. Sorry, my bad. Yeah. Views is basically like a T-Abyss virus infection. The fucking creatures that come out of it are some of the most terrifying looking monsters I've ever seen. Apparently there's only 4 variants of it, from what I can tell. Like, There's like your typical enemy type that it's still dangerous, by the way. Like all of these are incredibly dangerous, but you have like the typical enemy type. Then you have the ones with the giant claws, and then those one that basically shoots like what I can only assume are like bone boomerangs, and the other one just explodes. So it's like, okay, cool. That's cool, I guess. That's very annoying and also incredibly terrifying. I straight up just do not like these things. Like, good design overall. Like, these are terrifying. I think my favorite one actually might be the claw one. Like, the claw one looks very, like, scary, but I really do like how, like, incredibly menacing it is. Like, how spiky it is on its hands. It's like a... You really, if you look at it, it's basically like the base form, but it's upgraded with, like, giant claws. Which I think is a very, like, interesting design. The bone shooter ones, I assume that they shoot bones, like, cause what is it? What is it called? Cause yeah, there's the standard dudes, there's the pincer, like yeah, the heavy claws, chunk which is explodes, and then tricorn. Yeah, tricorn. Yeah, those ones are real. Those ones are pretty cool because of their bone design, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if they actually shoot bones or if it's something else that they shoot. But they look like bone type bullets. I don't know. It's weird. It looks like a boomerang when you like look at it initially. So they are annoying to deal with. But considering you can take it down with like a sniper, which you do get in like the same level like you encounter them. But yeah. It's interesting. It's something else that kind of just you have to deal with in this game. I do think they are like terrifying. They're so creepy. Oh, it's so gross. Yeah. There's also a bunch of like other ones in this. There's also a bunch of others in this game. There's like the bosses that you can encounter. Um, Actually, you know what? I might as well go through each of the bosses. I think what I'll go. Let me just like keep up with the plot, and then we'll like see everything. So, yeah, e yeah. So, it's set mainly in Europe. The game is set mainly in Europe. Okay, so yeah. Chris and Jessica find a base of operations for Veltro, an airstrip in the mountains, while Keith, Lummy, and Quentin Shetton are dispatched to the airstrip to investigate Veltro's actions. Yeah, that's the thing, because it's like, Chris and Jessica find the base, they realize, like, oh shit, like they get in contact with, like, the BSAA finally, and it's all realized that, like, oh shit, Jill and Parker are in trouble. Like, they got captured. And Chris is not on the boat, meaning that like they've essentially gotten trapped on it. I think the real question is that why the hell like, because I think one of the dumbest things I've realized about the game is like you eventually, I want to save it because it's like it when you find out like the truth, the main truth of everything. Everything else like that happens in the game kind of just like comes off as like strange and stupid. With all of the decisions made. Yeah, but anyways. Oberad informs Chris and Jessica that Jill and Parker are missing in the Mediterranean. They're sent out to find them. Jill wakes up one of the cabins, Queen Zenobia. Yeah, this is the regroup, so like they end up regrouping. They got attacked by Raymond Vesta, an FBC agent who knows Parker from when he was an FBC agent. Oh shit, wait, hold on, I didn't know that! Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't know that Parker was an FBC agent. I thought that he was still with the BSAA from like the start. Oh, wow, that changes everything. Holy shit. Sorry, I need some water. That's a new thing I learned about Parker. That's awesome. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it's the whole thing is Quentin and Keith explore around like the base. They find like info about like invisible Veltro creature or something. And then, oh no, it's an invisible creature killing a Veltro operative. Yeah, it's basically a hunter that's like been metamorphosized. God, fucking hunters, man. These things are weird. Ew. They're like lizards. Although to be fair, I actually prefer these designs because like they're still terrifying, but like it's not like as creepy as like the ooze forms. Like these things aren't that bad. Oh my god, then RE1. Holy crap, you have to deal with these things in the first game? Oh, and then RE3. Oh, it's like a different form. Oh my god. Dead aim? What's dead aim? The hell is dead aim? Oh my god, there's a... Okay, these things have appeared in different games. Yeah. What else is... Yeah. Yeah. Chris and Jessica land on a ship they think is the ship. It's the Queen Samarias. Yeah. Yeah, it's not the... They basically end up on the wrong ship that's like not where Jill and Parker are at all. So yeah, they Jill and Parker basically have to go through the engine room and such. It's a whole thing. I think generally the first few episodes focus on like you have to go around in order to like fix up the communications. Like you eventually do find like you find the communications at the bridge are destroyed. You then find the communications at like the main hall, like the emergency communications are destroyed as well. So then there's like one more thing you have to do. You have to head all the way up to like the main bridge in order to like get the radio started, but you have to go down into the engine room, which is terrifying, by the way. I hate the water creatures that are in that area, by the way. They are some of the most frustrating things to deal with, because you're essentially, you can't see them in the water, is the thing. Like, you can scan them out, but as soon as you do, you won't end up finding them again. So you have to just, like, take chance and hope and pray to God that, like, you can get an easy shot just by taking them out before they end up dying or something like that. So it's like you have to be lucky as hell with that, which personally I am not very much into that whole situation. Like, why? Like, that's annoying and to deal with. But you know what, yeah, eventually it's discovered in the game. Actually, yeah, here we go. Okay, here's the part I wanted to talk about. Oh wait, there was a whole part. Okay, so they get the communication system back on, but then it's like eventually the satellite that like destroyed Terra Grigia is get reactivated again in order to like destroy the Queen Zenobia because it's like infected and all that, so the virus is destroyed. But that's a stupid idea as far as I'm concerned, because that just ends up causing more problems than it does like fixing them. Because it ends up like flooding like most of the ship anyways. So it was done by the FBC in order to like destroy everything. But as soon as like everything is done and such, it's like it was such a pointless thing, because the FBC, the thing is that the FBC director, he wants to like specifically get rid of the evidence of it because there's something on the Queen Zenobia that like holds some very big evidence that can very much like put away there's some stuff in the ship that's like, it's a whole vat of the T abyss virus that is enough to like infect the ocean, and you have to go through a whole process of like disinfecting the thing and stopping it from like destroying everything. Like, you have to synthesize it, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's eventually revealed that like O'Brien orchestrated Veltro's reemergence. And yeah, it's eventually Chris and Jessica arrive on the Queen Zenobia. Jill and Parker are confronted by a Veltro operative. Before he can reveal more, Jessica shoots him. Raymond reveals himself to be the actual like Veltro representative, and like he was walking with O'Brien. Um, yeah, it's a whole thing because it's like it turns out that Jessica is actually working for who is it? Who's God? I keep forgetting the director for the FBC because his name is like what is it? Oh yeah, Morgan Lansdale. That's it. Because Morgan Lansdale is essentially he's essentially like the owner of like the FBC, and he's the main responsible one for the virus attack on Terra Grigia, and is the reason why Veltro even got their hands on the T Abyss virus in the first place. And like it was a whole like profit cell kind of thing. Basically, it was kind of stupid. The reimagines thing, I think what is dumb about like the whole like fake Veltro reimagines thing is the fact that like Raymond destroy like it was all like Raymond and O'Brien working on this. Raymond was pretty much the only one on the ship. So he basically destroyed like Jillian Parker's only means of getting off the ship, possibly his only means of getting off the ship. I don't know how he would have gone on the ship in the first place. I don't know. Like I don't. He maybe he had a boat of his own. I'm not really sure. Um, and also he straight up just is like, oh, he doesn't like say anything. Like he doesn't like give any confirmation or anything. It's all just like rigmarole. And like I get that O'Brien wanted it to be like kept secret so that way if the FB like the because he knew that there was a mole in the BSAA and it turned out to be Jessica. Um, so he wanted to make sure that like no one would know about the plan, so that way he could be able to like catch. He could be able to catch more like Morgan in the whole like act of basically being responsible for the Terra Grigia Act. Sorry if I can't explain it properly, but as far as I'm concerned, that part of the game just kind of feels a little bit dumb because it's like I feel like there could have been other ways they could have gone about this instead of like literally tricking all of your agents in order and like putting your agents in danger, mind you, because it's like they straight like this was straight up like dangerous territory. It was like a good chance that they could have actually like died or something. Um, but whatever. It's eventually like Jessica reveals her whole thing, like, and she ends up like wounding Parker and activating the self destruct on the ship. And it's confirmed that she's the mole. Oh my god, what a twist! Okay, to be fair, honestly, I was a little disappointed that like Jessica was a bad guy. That made me a little sad because I was like, oh man, I actually like Jessica. She was like a decent enough character. Like, I thought she was pretty decent. But then like they have the whole. Then it's like the whole thing of it is that like you see Jessica. Like, what is it? What was I gonna? There was something. You know, no, you know, I'll save what I was thinking because I remember what I was thinking about. But I want to save that for later on. Where I talk about the characters. But like, then there's then it's like Chris and Jill make their way to like the lower bottom of the deck. And like they discover that like Lansdale was behind the whole thing. He worked with Veltro to cause the whole Terra Grigia panic in order to increase the FBC's funding and international influence. Even notes left by the former crew members revealed that he had dispatched a research team to create a vaccine and then killed them off by releasing the ship's monsters after they'd sent it to him, which is insane, I gotta admit. Why would you destroy the researchers who are literally trying to make a cure to the virus that like you caused? That's the thing I don't understand about Resident. Like, why would you make a virus and not like have a cure on hand in case either you or some of your men end up getting infected? Like, what was the big brain plan with that, huh? What was the big brain plan? Because it's like you're gonna end up like if you mess up once, like the whole world's done. Like that's it. That's it. The whole world's dead, and you've essentially killed everyone and everything. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Yeah. They end up neutralizing the virus. Yeah. One of the pilot manages to contact Chris and Jill. They find Parker and try to get him out of the ship as fast as possible, trying to help him out, and like eventually like it gets to a point where it's like they can't be able to go forward. Like Parker ends up like falling into the fire, and that made me sad. Like Parker's death was something that made me sad because I actually really liked Parker. His interactions, his dialogue, the way like he bounces off with Jill, like I find it to be he was a great character, and like I never really knew that much about him like from the start. So it's like you have this character that like you just sort of grow with and understand, and he's just a genuinely good character. And even the same thing with Jessica, because like she doesn't get that much of her moments. Like she'll get like few and far between, but like I also did enjoy Jessica as a character as well. Like even if she betrayed the whole group and everything, like I did think it was like she was a decent character. Yeah. Eventually, like yeah, the O'Brien informs Chris and Jill about the truth behind the mission. He orchestrated the events to gather evidence of Lansdale's involvement in Terra Grigia. He informs them of results from Keith and Quint's data analysis. And it turns out there's a third ship that was called the Queen Dio, where like the main evidence that's going to prove that like Lansdale was like the true villain behind the Terra Grigia Act is on the Queen Dido. So now Jill and Chris have to make their way to the ship, and the problem is that it's underwater, so they have to explore it. And they eventually find the leader, who has been in there for probably 3 years, because like the ships, the Zenobia, the second ship, and the Dido, those ones were all like they were all there 3 years ago, and the Dido was sunken, and he was pretty much stuck there. Like he was stuck there the entire time, and has been living off what I can only assume was the virus itself. And he pretty much just went insane, which is like, how do you even do that? Is what I'm wondering. Like, how the hell do you pull that sort of bullshit off? Yeah. Eventually, Lansdale like catches on that like O'Brien, Jill, and Chris are like figuring out how to like put him away. They eventually arrest the BSAA in order to like stop them from finding anything, and it's ultimately up to Chris and Jill to like find the evidence, which they do. They kill off the Terra Grigia. No, they kill off like the Veltro leader, and my god, that boss fight was one of the most frustrating boss fights I've ever had to deal in a Resident Evil game. The way that fight works is that you essentially have to like he basically has this like teleportation, except it's not teleportation, it's more like mind effect type ability, where it's like he walks around, he warps to like one part of the room, and then it's like he will try to attack you, but then it's actually a shadow clone, and then he'll attack you a third time, and it's like the real deal. And then he also has this other one where he creates like a copy of himself, and the one that's spewing out gas is the real deal. Which doesn't sound like hard, but the problem is that like you get like you essentially have to use the shotgun, because it's like the most high damage weapon that allows you to like stop him from doing the attack. Because if you use your like regular ammo, like from your like pistol or even like your bullet range type gun, you're not gonna do much. You have to use the shotgun as a situational, and it's frustrating. I do not like it whatsoever. Granted, I think it's because I used the secondary shotgun instead of like the one that you find on the ship, um, like on the Queen Zenobia. But to be honest, I do not give that much of a crap. That boss is annoying. It's quite annoying and all that, but like I got through it and I still think it was annoying. Yeah. Anyways, Chris and Jill then broadcast the video via Norman's PDA. They expose Lansdale, and immediately released and arrest Lansdale. Uh, the truth behind Terra Grigia goes public, and the FBC is dissolved. Parker, who was like Parker, ends up actually surviving because he was saved by Raymond. Like Raymond saved his life, and I was so happy about that because, like, there's a point in the game where it's like it cuts back to like 3 years ago during the Terra Grigia Act, and we see that like Parker ends up saving Raymond because he got injured. Like he's still a cadet in that flashback, and like he straight up just helps out Raymond, and like it's a nice callback to that scene when Raymond ends up saving like Parker's life. So I thought that was a really sweet moment, and also I was just genuinely happy that they ended up saving Parker, because if they killed off Parker, my life would be less happy, if I'm being honest. I really enjoy Parker as a character, and I think I just think he's a solid guy. Um, yeah. Anyways, yeah, Parker's saved by Raymond. He was found like after the he was found adrift the shore at Malta, and after a month of recovery, he resumed his position as a special operations agent for the BSAA. O'Brien takes responsibilities for his actions, and he steps down as director of BSAA. And Quentin and Keith are revealed to have survived the air raid. By the way, like it's revealed that like they managed to find the information about like the Veltro Act, and then like the air raid is like thrusted upon them, which I assume was from the FBC trying to cover up as much of Veltro's like psychotic tendencies than initially thought, so that like no evidence was left behind. But yeah, they managed to survive. I also really like them as characters generally. Um, yeah. Anyways, it ends up ending off the game with Chris and Jill walking up to the Spencer estate from the Lost in Nightmares episode in Resident Evil 5. It's basically a post-credit scene, and and then the second post-credit scene, Raymond approaches Jessica at the cafe and gives her a sample of the T-Abyss virus. She asks him why he saved Parker, and he replies he has his reasons while removing his sunglasses. And yeah, I don't, considering the way like they are mentioned, I don't think they end up appearing at any point in the rest of the series. We don't see Raymond again. We don't see like other characters. Maybe they're in the sequel. Maybe that's it. Maybe that they're in the sequel, and that's why we don't get mention of anything. But then again, I think the sequel takes place like after Resident Evil 5 and 6. But yeah, I think that's generally the case with it. I do think it's interesting. The plot of the game is pretty good. I think the whole like Veltro resurgence and like the way they get to it is kind of cool, a good reveal, but also like a little bit dumb. But I'm not too much. I don't think it's like too bad. It's a pretty solid enough game. And I think it's a good enough Resident Evil game. I guess I might as well go through each of the characters while I try to like figure out how way to wrap up this episode. But yeah, we have Jill Valentine, Chris Redfield, Parker, Jessica, Keith, Quint, Clive, Brian, Raymond, and then Morgan Lansdale. Yeah. So yeah, and then Rachel. Um, yeah. So Jill Valentine. I'd say her portrayal in this game was like pretty much. I think it's generally, if you know who Jill Valentine is, like, you pretty much know this character, so it's not like anything to write home about. It's pretty much just like her. Chris is the same overall. He's voiced by Roger Craig Smith, which is amazing, by the way. I did not think that is such an amazingly ridiculous yet also hilarious thing to have in the game. Because it's like, all the guys, all like I did not think that he was voice like, and the thing is that I didn't even look at the voice acting list. Like I just heard his voice and I was like, Sonic? Is that you? What are you doing working for the BSAA? And it's like, I just love that. I love that whole situation. It's like, it's cool how like voice actors can do different voice roles. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah. Um, I Parker, I've already mentioned before. Parker is probably my favorite character in this entire game. I think he's a very solid character, and overall, I just think like my enjoyment of this game is something that I truly can get behind. I think he's an absolutely amazing. I think he's just an absolutely amazing guy. Yeah. I don't know if he makes any like appearances, like if there's a list of like appearances of when he like shows up, because I think it's only this game that he shows up in. Oh no, he shows up in like a comic stuff. Okay, that's fine, I guess. But yeah, I like him a lot. I think he's a solid guy, and I think there's a lot of like there's a lot of Resident Evil characters, and like to have one that like is just an entertaining guy who's like manages to just bounce off Jill's like overall attitude. That's something I can appreciate. I also like the little banter that he has with Jessica, and I think that's why I like Jessica and Parker so much, because like when they're together, like the interaction is really good. Um, but also it's like, man, it sucks that like it turns out she was like a bad guy the whole time. That really rustled my Jimmy, because I was hoping it was gonna be like she's essentially like a character who's just like who's essentially like Parker's like the little joking attitude. And like that the way they bounce off each other was just really good. So it kind of sucks that she's a villain. But you know what? I guess you can kind of have that appreciation overall. Um, Jessica, like I've already mentioned, so I don't. There's not really much you can say about it. Yeah. Clive R. O'Brien. He's voiced by Paul Iding, which I think is who is I think he's the voice for like yeah, he did voicing in like Ben 10 for Grandpa Max, I believe. So it's like that's a really cool thing to have. Wait, wait, he did voice acting in Shrek? Wait, hold on, what? Oh yeah, he also does a lot of like Metal Gear Solid like voice acting as well. So yeah, I recognize the voice. I guess I just didn't know the voice actor's name. But like yeah, very cool. Raymond Vesta. I actually well, I didn't go through the. Okay, I guess I might as well go through both of them. I think Clive O'Brien is a very cool character. I don't know how many games he appears in though, because if it's just this one, then like man, I did fucking phenomenal. Like just a phenomenal character overall. I think like he's a great character that's just like he's straight up just like the boss type. He's just not boss type. What? He's just a boss character that's like he's like you can tell that he's like clearly like the head in command, but also knows a lot about like everything. So I appreciate him. Raymond Vesta. I did not like his character at first. Admittedly, I think he was a little bit weird, and also decisions that are made on this is a bit weird. But like at the end of the game, I did have an appreciation for him. Um, but I'm wondering what they're gonna do with the characters if we will ever see Jessica or Raymond again, because it's like Are they gonna be in RE9, or is it just gonna be like another character that just gets shoved under the rug? That's what I'm wondering about it. But it's whatever. It's fine. I wonder if does Jessica actually like appear in like. Okay, I guess not. Cause like, does she appear in other games? Oh, okay. I was about to say like she appears in the sequel, but Parker doesn't. Like, no, she only appears in the raid mode. Which by the way, the raid mode, I don't know if I will try that out. If I'm gonna play that, I'm probably just gonna do it with infinite ammo because I'm not doing that. I'm not going through the game again with survival tactics. I'd rather turn it into Doom than like do the whole thing again because it's like I feel like I've earned that. I feel like I've earned like being able to do it in Doom. Um, like do it like Resident Evil Revelations, but it's Doom, which makes it a lot more entertaining for me. And personally, I think it's a lot more entertaining in general. But yeah, Morgan Lansdale, the main villain of this game, he's pretty much your typical Resident Evil bad guy. Because it's like when it comes to characters like him, you kind of get a general consensus of everything. So I'm eating a marshmallow right now. But I think for the appearance that he does make, he does a decent enough job of it. But yeah, he's pretty much your typical Resident Evil style villain. Like there's not really you can't really say much of anything about it other than the fact that it's just like, oh, okay. He's just like he wants to have full control and is like working with terrorists in order to like cause more world dominate. Like he basically did it just so he could get more funding for the FBC, and it shot up in his face. Cause he could have been a genuinely just like a guy who could have just been like, okay, we're gonna be. I need to like be able to keep the world safe and like do all of this stuff and such. And like even the dialogue, like if like the mission where it's like the first mission that's like a flashback to 3 years ago. Um, I find it to be like interesting because like you can hang around and listen to the dialogue between O'Brien and him, and it feels more like he's jealous of O'Brien in a way. At least that's the vibe I was getting from it, and also like very much like angry with the fact that the BSAA doesn't like take full action and doesn't take all of like the major things it needs to do. But like it's kind of it's just a bit ridiculous if I'm being honest. Also, the way the game has these different quotes and such from like different things, where it's like the wisdom of man is nothing but a spiral to the hell and pits of darkness, which the true enemy will be revealed, which will be the evil that and I'm like, just shut the fuck up and let me play the game, goddammit. I don't care about your philosophy. I don't care about your bullshit tactics. Like I'm basically Woody from Kingdom Hearts 3. Like I don't give a crap about what you have to say and what you're doing. Like I want to just take you out because it's like I'm just gonna take you down. Like you're a bad guy. Stop acting like you're some kind of philosopher because what you're doing is psychotic behavior and I won't have any take in it. Like no. Screw you guys. Screw you. I'm not participating in this crap. Yeah. But yeah, that's my general consensus when it comes to a character like him. Oh, my marshmallows are falling. Yeah. Do I think that could have been? Do I think like he's still a decent enough character? Yeah. Do I think that he just sounds dumb? Yes. But that's pretty much like typical Resident Evil stuff where it's like you'll hear characters that are basically like, oh, you're such a big guy, huh? Like it just, yeah. But yeah, I think that's my general consensus on the characters. I think all of them did well. Voice acting was very good. I think it was the most entertaining thing about this game. That was the only thing that really got me through this game. The fact that like the dialogue and like the way it all kind of just feels like high energy, and also like interesting. Um, what is it? There's one actually. Now I remember. Hang on. Let me like. No. Sorry, that's the wrong video. But I remember there's like okay, there's an E3 video that like I watched while I was trying to like find stuff for this on Resident Evil Revelations, and it is the stupidest, most ridiculous, most like weirdly high energy type thing. I don't want to describe it. I'm just gonna like play it over here in this section of the video just for you guys to like get an understanding of everything, because it's like, oh my god, it's so dumb. It's so dumb, and it's so like weirdly stupid. I don't get it. I do not get it. Jesus.
Somehow, I always manage to come through. Not this time. I messed up.
You think you'll get away with this?
I already have, Jill.
Do you have it?
Maybe. You'll have to kill me to find out.
And what would you do if you found it? It doesn't matter, because you're already.
But yeah, that's the whole trailer, and it's like, what kind of trailer was that? Like, it has nothing to do with the game. It seems to have its own different ambitions, and I think like the game that we actually got is a lot better than whatever the hell this was, because it's like, what was their plan? What exact ideas did they have for this? Where it's like, oh, this looks like it's Chris Redfield captured, but then it's like Jill Valentine who's possibly evil, but then also Chris could be evil, and it's like, oh, it's this third guy who might be a Chris clone. That's not good. Then again, I think also the thing is that Resident Evil 6 also has like an Ada Wong clone, who I think is a different person, who just has Ada's face in order to cause like confusion amongst like her allies and everything, and just like, I guess, ruin her name. I don't know. It's a whole process. It's weird. I'm surprised they can even pull off like cloning in the first place. That's a weird ass thing to do. Like, what the hell was even that? I should I should rewatch like generally like Resident Evil Revelations and like all of it, just to like get general consensus of everything. No, not Resident Evil Revelations, Resident Evil 5, that's what I meant, sorry. But wait, no, not even, okay, both games like 5 and 6, like those are the ones that like I need to like get a good recap on, because it has been a while since I've like seen and like looked at the games. I'm not playing them. I'm not gonna play them. I don't like Resident Evil horror games in general. I do like the plot. I think it's good. Problem is that I'm a scaredy-cat, and I do not think I could ever like enjoy horror in general. But yeah, that's my general consensus with everything. Yeah, I overall recommend this game to anyone who wants to like check it out for themselves, because man, it's ridiculous. It can be like, it can be ridiculous, but also like I think it's overly intense. That's the thing about it. It's overly intense with the way it's presented, and it's like, oh my god, there's this whole thing, it's like, whoa, and like, whoa, and like, oh my god, and like, holy shit, what the fuck? Like, my god, can you shut up? Shut up! Don't be so over dramatic. Don't be so much of like a dramatic little baby boy, alright? Damn. Yeah. But yeah, I think generally it was a very enjoyable experience when it comes to like Resident Evil games. And for a first game leaping, this was decent. I found myself enjoying this a lot, and I think that you can genuinely have a good time and overall enjoy this game without feeling like it's like too overwhelming or something like that. I do like the episode structure, by the way, because it's like I think most of these episodes are like 1 hour each. So it's like you basically do one episode, you finish up, and then you feel like, I'm a bit tired. I don't think I'm gonna like go on to the next like episode. I think I'm just gonna stop here, which I appreciate because most like that's kind of thing with early 3DS games. There was always this sense of like, I mean, okay, you've gotten pretty far in this game, you've gotten pretty good. That's pretty nice. You can take a break if you want. Like, if you do feel tired, you can take a break. And like, if you are tired, you can just be like, you know what? I will take a break. Thank you, game. Thank you very much. And I think I appreciate that a lot more because it's like you spend a lot of time on games, you spend a lot of time going around doing all that, and eventually like you get to a point where it's like, oh, I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired. It's like, and the game just like kindly asks like, hey, are you done here? You can save and quit, or if you want to continue onward, you can like continue on at your own volition. It's like, yeah, I think I'm done. I don't want to go anymore in this game, so yeah, I think I'll just save and quit. So it's like, yeah, that's about it. Yeah. I think the Revelations 2 is only 4 episodes long, and that's 10 hours. So that probably means that, like, each episode is like 2.5 hours each. That's probably not the accurate math. That's probably not accurate at all. That's my bad. But yeah, maybe I'll play it. It's on PS Vita. But the thing is that I think considering how terrified I was of this game, I'm not sure if I really want to give it a shot overall. Um, but you know what? We'll see. It's currently the 19th of October at the time of me recording this. But I'm sure it'll be the 31st when I upload this. So yeah. I have plenty of time. If I do end up like playing Resident Evil, like if I do end up playing Resident Evil like Revelations 2, then I'll give my thoughts on it and generally just like tell you about like how good this game is and how much I really enjoyed myself with it. Hey, it's Dominic here again. Just wanted to let you know that I did try to play Revelations 2. I wouldn't say it's something I would personally try out. Maybe you'll find some enjoyment in it, but like literally the first few minutes when I tried to play it, it was basically like it explained how like you have two different characters to control, and like also like one has like mainly like weapons like guns, and the other like has a crowbar and flashlight, which I guess was kind of cool, but like it also made me realize that like they both have separate health bars, which might end up becoming very frustrating to someone like myself. So I just personally put the game down and said no thank you. I'm not gonna give it a shot. I think maybe some other time. I'm not really sure, but like I generally don't think I'm gonna give it a shot. But yeah, you can go ahead and play the game if you want. That's just my experience, like like my first hands-on experience with Revelations 2. But don't let my like words deceive you from like wanting to try this game for yourself. So go ahead and try it if you want. I'm not stopping you. No one's stopping you. You are your own person. You can make your own decisions. That's just my personal preference. Anyways, yeah. This is Future Dominic signing out. Peace. Cause as scary as it is, I do admit that this is a good game, and I think a lot of people should try it out for themselves if you still want to like give it a shot, because it's like it's impressive what they did for a 3DS game, because it was the first, because it says on the wiki even that it was first released on the 3DS. It first released on the 3DS and then like was released to other consoles later on. Like that's insane. Like that's a risky, like it was that's a risky ball to like make. But you know what? I appreciate that. And overall like the structure of the game is also really impressive. Like you pretty much like it's a third person Resident Evil game. Like you have different options to go about everything. And like even also scanning around. Like there's also the scanner. I think I mentioned it beforehand, like but the scanner is basically like you use it to scan around enemies and such in order to like get info on them. And then like if you scan enough enemies, you get a health kit, which I think is a very cool feature to have. And also just makes this game a bit more like tolerable, because if you had limited healing items, because the thing is about it is I played this game on like the regular difficulty, like not on casual, like regular. So it's like I had a much like I feel like I had a much harder time, because it's like it feels, I think casual is more of an easy mode, and then like the regular is like a hard mode almost. That could just be me. That could be just because like I'm not that big of a Resident Evil player, but like, you know, whatever, it's fine. But yeah, I think overall, it's definitely, I think with the reviews of it that it got, I think the reviews were very well, it got well received, and like a lot of people like gave a lot of praise. I'd say generally it's definitely like an 8.5 out of 10 type of game. Like that's probably what I think of it as, and it's definitely something of a great 3DS game amongst the great 3DS games. But yeah, I think that's a good way to wrap things off. I enjoyed this game. I hope you guys check it out for yourself. There's plenty of means to do it. There's plenty of ways to like experience it. Like it's on PC. I'm pretty sure it's still on Steam, by the way. Like all the Resident Evil games are on Steam. So yeah, I think that's it. Anyways, I'm Mr. Boom 87. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you have a wonderful and happy Halloween. I hope you get plenty of tricks. I hope you get plenty of treats. And if you're thinking of playing a good game for Halloween, then I would recommend this one as one of them. So yeah, go check it out for yourself. There's plenty of like, generally check out the Resident Evil series in general. There's plenty of like good games on under its belt. I'd say the Resident Evil remakes, Resident Evil 2 and 4 remake, I'd say are pretty decent. I haven't played them yet, but I have heard good things about it. So yeah. I'm Mr. Boom 87, and as always, I shall see you on the next episode of the Clopdrawer Podcast. Whew, my god. This was a daunting episode as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna have to go through, I'm gonna have to be editing a lot, because it's like, I need to bring up like everything and all the footage, and I am not ready to dive into that. I hate looking at all this. See you guys next time,
I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear. This probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. Our ghosts try to approach me and got leery. Ask him a question and he vanished in a second. I'm walking through valleys, crying pumpkins in the alley. Didn't seem happy, but they sure tried to get me. Had to back them up with a fist metal crackle. I'm hearing someone saying, you a chicken, don't be scared. It had to be the wind, cause nobody wasn't there. I searched and I searched as I climbed up the wall.